Hello and welcome to the last part of this video. So the first part we installed the tow bar, second part we wired up the trailer light, and now the third part we're going to wire up the caravan section. Now there's loads of different kits out there. I'm using this relay box kit here, which is very clever. We have a couple of switch units and unswitch units. So basically what this does is, when you wire it in, so as you're driving down the road, this will charge up your leisure battery and it will also charge up your fridge. Now as soon as you turn the ignition off, it will stop that. So at least it doesn't wear down your battery. And when you get to wherever you're going, you can plug your caravan in and you're okay. So we're going to install that. Now, when I was installing the tow bar, we had to install this wire as well. I had to run a separate wire all the way to the battery back. Now I wasn't going to show that because it took hours to run these wires. So this is the wire that's gone directly to the battery and it is now come back to here. These are our wires we're going to use for the caravan side of things. So ignore this box here. We only need a couple of these wires. We need the white earth wire, we need the red wire, we also need the green and blue one, I believe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these gadgets in again. Now these are absolutely brilliant. I showed on my last video, we made an earth, and what these do is, if you've got a thin piece of metal, you drill this in and it basically leaves you with a threaded hole in a piece of metal that is too thin to put a tap and die in. So I'm going to drill this into here and I'm going to separately fuse everything, separately earth everything. I don't particularly need to, but I've got the connection so I might as well. So I've earthed this box separately. I'm now going to earth the caravan side separately. Now I don't think you're going to be able to see this one because I'm going to put this one on this side here. So all I'm going to do is, I've got this special connection, I've got the special tool that actually clamps it as well, and I'm just going to drill. This one is a 9mm hole, so I'm going to drill a 9mm hole, but like I said, on the other one you have to be careful. I've got a double skin here, so I can actually get away with drilling the hole. It's not going to come through the panel. If you've only got a single skin, you're going to drill right through your car, which you don't want to do. So I've got double skin and I'm going to be fine with it. But you do have to be careful. If you put too much pressure on the drill bit and it goes through the first skin, you're going to puncture and you're going to dint the other skin. So you have to be very careful. Now, always a good thing just to double check to make sure you haven't hit it, and I didn't. And we'll just double check to make sure that it fits. It's a lovely fit, it's nice and tight. I'm just going to sand around where I've drilled it. Now, all I'm going to do is screw this onto here till it's flush with the side of it. So as you can see, it's flush. Stick it in and squeeze it, is same as if I'm using a pot rivet. And there we go. It is as simple as that. I'm going to now get a bolt and I'll show you. Now this bolt is too long, but hopefully, hopefully you can see that. So I'm just going to screw this in just to show you. As you can see, it's not wobbling. It's nice. And there is the connection. So that's going to be my earth point now for the caravan side of things. Now that's our power cable and we've got two earths. So I'm going to put the earths together. You do get an earth with the kit, but as you can see the connection on it is very small. So I'm going to cut that connection off and put my own connection on so it fits over my new bolts. These are the connections I'm going to use. And as you can see, it fits nicely through the bolt, the M10 bolt that I'm using. Just crush that on the vise, as you see, lovely connection. Now to do this earth. Strip the wire back, put it through, get the vise grips, and squeeze. Now, and then just double, make sure it's not going to pull out, which it isn't. So there are earth sorted. So just for the sake, I'm just going to put them in here for the minute. Just screw it in, just to keep it out of my way. I'm going to have to cut the bolt down because the bolt is too long. So cut the bolt down. Now we can get on to wiring our box up. What I'm going to do, just to make sure my earth is okay, I'm going to put my connection on it, even though it's only screwed in half the way, it should work. And I've put the lights on the car, so hopefully we should get a reading. As we can see, we've got a reading there, hopefully the camera's showing it through. So I now know that earth is okay. Always a good thing to check. Without good earth, you can cause fires. So earths are just as important as any other connection. People seem to think, oh, if you've got a bad earth, stuff won't work. Well, yeah, stuff doesn't work, but potentially you could also cause fires if you've got bad earths and they're arcing out because they'll heat the wires. And anyway, so what we need to do now is put all our connections on. Now there's a couple of different ways you can use this, but all I'm going to set this up for, we've got two outlets which are switched and one which is unswitched. Now basically what that means is the two switch ones will only work when the car is running. So if you leave the caravan on the back of your car, it's not going to drain your battery. Once the car is running, this switches over and it charges everything. We're gonna run this for the fridge and the leisure battery, and we're going to leave the unswitched one. We might do something with that later because there is a couple of different ways of doing it. The unswitched one can run your lights internally, but the leisure battery should do that for you anyway. But I'm going to wire it up that way because that's the way he wants it, and then we'll worry about if we have to change it later. Now it does say optional, we can internally fuse this, even though this is fused at the battery end. And obviously it's fused inside the caravan, but we're going to fuse it coming out of here because it does say you can do it, so we might as well. So I've got some more inline fuses. I'm just going to cut them because they're way too long. Just in the edge, shove them in here. And the other good thing about fusing them like this, if there is a problem, it should just blow the fuses rather than cause any problems anywhere else. So as you can see, I've turned the actual fuse so facing upwards, so it's not like that, so it's facing upwards. So that's one. Now I'm going to stagger these fuses. So what I mean is there's no point having two fuses together because that takes up a lot of room. I'm actually going to stagger them like that, so it doesn't have to take up as much room. So if I cut that about there, I'll show you what I mean. That in there. As you can see, them fuses are now staggered, so it just doesn't take up as much room side by side. Not really that big of a deal, but the caps on. These are a 15 amp fuse that goes in here. Now, we have our earth cable then, which goes into the other side of this. So put the earth cable in, the one that came with it. Bend that in half, make the wire a bit thicker, it just goes in place. Twist it inside it. And it's handy how you can lift these up, so you can see it's written on it, earth, power in, so I know which one I'm going in. Just put that down there, twist it in. Very simple. The hard work's been done in the other videos, putting all the wires in, getting them hidden and doing all that, so the hard part's been done. Now again, we just pull these wires, pull the little caps off, screw the ends, keep the wires nice and neat. They're going to be too long, so just going to cut them so they don't stick out. And they go into the power side of it. Now I've no real way of testing this apart from when I turn the car on, these two wires should be basically having power to them, and when I turn the car off they should have no power going to them. That's the only way I can check it. I can't check it because I've got no caravan here to physically check them off the caravan, but we should hopefully get an idea doing it that. Just going to tighten the bolt here to the earths. So the earths are tightened. Them earths are separate, so we've got all separate earths. The box is earth, the plug is earth. So now all we need to do is get the red wire for the fridge, which is here. So pin 6 is the red wire, so you could say the slightly longer one of these. We need to connect the red wire to that. And what I'm going to use is bullet connections. Now the red one is number 6, which is the bottom one. Again, check it. Now, just a case of plugging that in like that. So that's one connection done. Now we need the green wire, which is here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move these wires and tape them back, because we might need them later on. So I'm not going to cut them. I'm just going to grab them all together and move them back and tape them up. Now, so they're up there, taped out of the way, just in case we need them for anything else. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do the opposite connections on here. So basically, I'm going to put, on the red wire I put the male end on, I'm going to put the female end on here. And the reason is, because if these connections ever come apart or anything happens, someone can't model them up, they can only go back together one way. And the last one, check it. Now we should be good to go. I've got to connect it on the battery, put the two fuses this end. It's saying a 15 amp fuse, so we're going to put two 15 amp fuse, and it's a 30 amp fuse at the battery. So I'm going to have the two 15 amp fuses here. Now what am I going to actually do is I'm going to disconnect the two wires here for the minute. And as you can see, this one can't go together, so no one can get these muddled up, because I should be able to test, see if there's power coming out of here, and there should only be power coming out of here when the car starts, not any other time. Leave that there for the minute. Let's connect the battery side up first. Now I'm going to use bullet connections again, but I do want to solder this, but from my last video, as you can see, my soldering iron decided to pack up. So I'm going to use bullet connections first, and then just to make sure everything's working, get everything kind of done, and then worry about soldering it later on. And once I solder it, I'm going to use all heat wrap. So it's going to be all nice. Best connection. And I'll be soldering all the connections inside as well that we've just made with bullet points. So there we go. It's good. I'll take this off again. Now I'm going to make all this nice and neat. There's no point me showing on camera. I'm just going to connect it now, just to make sure that relay is working properly. It's switching on and off when it should do, and then I can worry about making this look a lot better. Just along them lines there like that. So that for the minute. The 30 amp fuse in it. And let's now go to the back to see what it's doing. It shouldn't be doing anything at the minute. Now another thing is, this might only work when there's a load on this relay. So I might not be able to test this. This relay might not switch in until the actual caravan is plugged in and it recognises there's a load on the circuit. But what I am going to do now, just for the hell of it, just to make sure, there should be nothing coming out of these at the minute, which there isn't, which is good. There should be power in here. As you can see, there's power in there, which there should be, and nothing coming out of here, which again is good. So now what I'm going to do, I'll pull out these fuses. I'm going to start it. I'm going to put the fuses back in and see what happens. But the car still starts, which is a good thing. Just put this one in. Fuse is gone in, fine. Like I said, this might not work. Well, as it turns out, it has. So we now have, I don't know if you can see that, 14.8 volts coming through, which is good, because that means it is doing what it's supposed to be doing. I didn't know if it needed a load just to prove that it was there, but it doesn't. So as we can see, we've got 14, I'll just put that there. Hope you can see that. I'm going to turn off the car and see what happens. And as we can see, it's gone dead. So that means we now know, if you had a caravan on the back of this, if you was to drive and pull somewhere, let's say to go to a restaurant or something, your caravan isn't going to be draining your car battery. So that's a good sign. Now what we need to check is the plugs working. So I'm going to put these back in, just connect them back in for the minute. I'm going to have to go down, I'm going to test the plug to see if we've got two powers coming out of the plugs. So let's just move the camera down a bit. I'm not sure exactly what the pinouts are, but we should have two powers in here. Now, go testing. Yeah, we have one there. Hopefully that can see one there, one there, one there, one there, and we have the second one there. And we have the earth there. So we know, again, we know the earth's good. And that's actually a continuity test. I've got the earth on the white wire, so we know the earth's actually fine. So our two power wires are the bottom pin and the top pin. So we now know that this is working. The only thing I don't know about the caravan, but that's not my problem. So now it's a case of making all this look nice and tidy and get it all packed away. It's going to be pointless me showing you this, but what I have to do is I have to get this foam back in. I have to get these two boxes so they're in a nice place, they're not going to rattle, both together or side by side, and hide all the wires so it's nice and neat, but yet it's still easy to get to the fuses and it's easy to get to everything. So that's what I'm going to do next. Once I've got that, I'll turn the camera back on and we can more or less call it for this video. Now, there we go. All nice and neat. I've cable tied the two boxes so they're apart. They're cable tied onto the foam. They're also cable tied onto this bracket here on the frame part. So when that goes in, it locks in nice and neat, and it's all done. I would suggest you want to tackle this yourself, because to pay someone to do this, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to take about 2 days for me to complete this. I still haven't put the back bumper on or anything like that. It takes so long to hide the wires, to make everything nice and neat. Yeah, you can do it quickly, but to do it properly and neatly, it just takes forever. So I would suggest you definitely want to maybe try and crack it yourself, because you will save yourself an absolute arm and a leg. Now, I'm not going to show you putting everything back on because it's just pointless. It's just a bumper and this. Now this is the first car I've done though where I've taken off the crash barrier for the bumper and had to put it back on. Normally you don't need to put these back on because the tow bar doesn't allow you to, but this one does, so I said I might as well put it back on because we can do. 4 13mm bolts, and that's it. So that's really it. We've done fitting the tow bar, wiring up the electrics for a trailer, and also wiring up the electrics for a caravan. So we've done all three on this little mini series. So hopefully it helps you. You know what to do when you're doing it. Don't forget, check out my shop. Website and forum is on its way. So thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one.